Hello, everyone. Welcome to AI Marketing. Today, joining me, Steve Wunker, and we're going to talk about how some AI initiatives are falling flat in marketing organizations and what to do about it. I mean, the space, Steve, is moving so fast. I don't know how we could do it justice, but we're going to give it a shot. But first, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll jump right into it.
Happy to. Thanks for having me, Mark. So, look, I've been around this field for a long time. I started one of the first mobile marketing companies in the world, started the Mobile Marketing Association. This is back in 2000. So this was bringing, creating technology for marketing onto cell phones. And then I've been in disruptive technologies really ever since. I worked with Clayton Christensen for many years. He's the person who coined the term disruptive innovation. And I built up a consulting practice to translate his academic writings into reality in corporate environments. I lead a company called New Markets Advisors. We do a lot around ad tech, Martech. We've worked with AI since 2012. And recently, I've written this book, AI and the Octopus Organization, that looks at how organizations need to transform to get the most out of AI. And I imagine we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, but why don't we start at a high level? So, what are some of the things that you're seeing are going wrong in organization in terms of AI and then specifically AI marketing?
Sure. So, look, we cannot treat AI as another tech project, as another tech upgrade. Uh, those approaches didn't work terribly well when we tried digital transformation 5 or 10 years ago. And it certainly doesn't work with a technology that's as transformative as AI. But, sadly, a lot of companies are sort of sprinkling AI dust on top of what they already do. And they make it maybe a little snazzier, but they're not fundamentally taking advantage of what the technology can unlock. So they are frustrated by a lot of pilots that aren't going anywhere. And they're investing a lot in processes or value propositions that are fundamentally broken.
Okay, and but where are they getting their instruction from? Are they coming with a top-down master plan that includes, an AI strategy, or are they just kind of experimenting?
So it's a little bit of both. And it's not good on either end of it. On the top down, there's a edict that thou shalt use AI. And people are looking for those high ROI use cases. But the use cases are often very narrow, which is fine to get some immediate quick wins, but that can't be everything. So the top down is focused on AI-ifying the present. And then from the bottom up, people are experimenting, but they're not experimenting well. There's a lot of pilots that don't have a clear hypothesis. They don't have a clear learning plan. There are few metrics. There are a few ways to share the learnings that are accomplished, and there's no way to kill the pilots that are no longer really generating learning, but aren't ready to scale up either. So they distract companies a lot. We talk about an ABC framework. A is AIFI the present. Fine, do that. B is become great at experimentation. People are not doing that terribly well. C is create the future. And here's where we see a lot of failing, where people are not really using AI to its full potential to create the future. They're redoing their 17-step process to have 17 steps that are now AIified, but they're not saying, well, what if it could be a 3-step process because of what AI now enables?
Okay. I mean, the way I see it and what's going on now is because it reminds me of when the internet came out and people were so confused and didn't want to accept that there was an internet that came uh, and was transforming businesses. I think AI is much, much, much bigger. Maybe not right this minute, but every year it just gets more and more powerful and it replaces more and more positions. So I find that, like the internet age, there's a lot of people that don't want to do it, aren't motivated to do it, and therefore are going to either ignore it to their detriment or sabotage it within these organizations. I saw a lot of that. Um, and, in terms of marketing, there's not a lot of there's a lot of people showing you how to do AI marketing, but they're not they're not actually being taught in a systematic way. I just haven't met, maybe you do this, somebody that can go top down in a large organization and show people in every department how this can benefit them. Maybe it's department by department right now. I know in sales they're doing it, but top down AI, just because it's A, it's moving so fast, and B, there doesn't seem to be a lot of guru leadership at the top. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I mean, look, this is something that we do. We just concluded a project with a big marketing department today on looking within marketing at how things can be deployed. I mean, the thing is, you've got to look in your narrow departments, but then you also have to look across as well. But you can't change everything at once, right? The organization's going to break. There's only so much change you can tolerate at any one time. But you can't just gravitate to the low-hanging fruit either. There have to be a few attempts to do fundamentally transformative things. So in this marketing department, for instance, what they went for a transformation was their campaign planning for big campaigns that they were having to do in support of product launches or other themes that the rest of the business really wanted to have done. And typically that would involve a whole lot of people. It could take up to about 120 days. And they've estimated that through using AI tools, they can shorten that to about 52 days. So that's a real metric from today. So these are very achievable things, but that is not just through going to deploy some very narrow tool in a narrow set of people. You have to think integratively about that. And then equally, they're doing things that aren't pretty narrow. So if they're doing press releases for people in the business, for instance, they are going to have, except for the really big stuff like major transactions or something, they're going to have initial drafts done by AI for people in the business so that they can react. Because the underlying problem was that people didn't really know what they wanted. So rather than sort of AI-ifying a dysfunctional process to begin with, they're having people use AI to determine what sort of registers with them or not. And then the humans will come involved and they'll massage things and get things totally right. So in both cases, they're looking at the broader context. Sometimes the solves are fairly complex and sometimes they're fairly narrow, but you still need to take that broad perspective.
Yeah, and you don't find that people are sabotaging because they think they're going to lose their job?
Not yet. I think that might be coming as people do start losing jobs. But I think right now people are more focused on the positive, thankfully, and there's a lot of positive. They think about
Oh, it's
all of
only
the
positive. I see it, unless you know it just takes over entire marketing departments. But I think I've always said that if you're not going to lose your job to AI, you lose your job to somebody that's using AI better than you, or you just using AI. Period. You're 5 times more productive in a lot of cases.
there have been a lot of studies about AI in the workplace and what it accomplishes. Now, it can make mediocre performers to be decent. There's going to be fewer of them, but you can have some decent performance. But it makes the good performers, the critical thinkers, really super amazing. And that's, of course, where you want your marketing department to be. Using AI is not like Saturday Night Fever, where you've got one dancer on the left and one dancer on the right, and they're never going to meet. It's a tango. You got to really engage with it to get the most out of AI. Querying it, pushing it, using it as a thought partner, taking it, have AI take the work 80%, having the humans take it the rest of the 20%. That's where you get the full potential. And I think people get that, and that's what excites them about what AI can do for them in marketing.
Yeah, that's great points. All right, so let's dive into what you're showing people, and we'll get to your book in a second. What you're showing people in the marketing departments about AI? Are these just specific tools, or is it a new process? Is it what is it that you're laying out for them when you go into these departments?
Look, there are there are tools that they probably already have that they can start using. There are plenty of additional tools too out there. The secret is not in getting the greatest tool because the technology, as you said, Mark, it's moving so fast. What's great today may be third best in 3 months. Um, it's making the most out of what they can have available. So, look, I've profiled and I write for Forbes occasionally. I've profiled a company called Movable Ink that allows for mass customization of emails. So it's used by LL Bean to send over 1 million variants, I should say, on emails. So yeah, that is pretty impressive. But there is stuff based in the Adobe Creative Suite, based in Adobe Firefly or Workfront that can be switched on and can actually do a lot of work for people too. Can't do that, but it can do much else. It's probably software packages that people already have. They're just not using to full potential.
Yeah, I know Adobe's come a long way, a very long way, in fact. So, when you're looking at let's say you come into a marketing department and they've got 30 headcount, but some of them are redundant. What are you telling these companies um, about bringing AI into these organizations in a way where you might not need 5 copywriters anymore?
It depends on the organization and what they're really trying to achieve. Are they trying just to reduce cost? Are they trying to improve quality? Are they trying to improve responsiveness? To some extent, AI can be better, faster, cheaper all at the same time, but you do need to sort of choose. And you may need to reskill people. So, yeah, you're right. You don't need a whole lot of copywriters. Video production can get a lot easier. Uh, I think, if you talk about the agency side has some real threats. But in marketing departments, there's a lot of other work that can be done by these people as well. You can get a whole lot more, customization, for instance, in your marketing. And that while machines can do a lot of that, that still takes some labor to manage and make sure it's done effectively. There's a lot more that can be done in loyalty marketing, for instance, with automated analytics. So, it depends a little bit on the business decisions about where are those marketing dollars best deployed, or is the best deployment releasing them to the rest of the organization?
Okay. Okay. And so let's go, more into individuals that are listening to this. What advice do you have for them in terms of staying ahead of the curve, the AI curve, which is fast moving, and to stay as employable as possible in the next 5 years?
So, look, AI can be one of the best things to happen to somebody's career. It can get a lot of authority devolved closer to the front line of the organization where people can use tools and they don't need to constantly check with people. They can use assets and create stuff quickly, be responsive, be known for it, measure their impact. It can really be fantastic. That requires, however, that you always remain a critical thinker. You can't be like my kids or my kids' friends who use ChatGPT as a crutch and have it steal away their critical thinking. And for sure, that's going to happen in the workforce. People will just take a good enough output from AI engines and pass it off without really engaging with it. It means managing people in a different way because they're going to be able to provide you a whole lot of output that is probably decent. But then how do you raise your expectations in a way that gets the most out of those AI systems and also helps your staff manage the change? Because all of these workforces are going to have a very significant amount of change. And then it means also thinking about that overall system, particularly if you're more senior, right? So let's give an example. Sales now can create a lot more of their own marketing material. Should they? When should they? How much supervision should be achieved by marketing in that? Or how does the partnership between marketing and sales begin to differ? These are all the sort of questions that need to be asked now. And they're not really technology questions, they're organizational questions that are triggered by the technology.
Yeah. I think with sales, they'll may or may not be allowed to do more marketing stuff. Maybe a marketing layer check. I think we'll have AI be that AI marketing check for salespeople, and this role might start to converge a little bit more than it is today because you can have a non-publicly traded company and allow salespeople quite easily to do the marketing as long as there's some sort of a check, whether it's a human check or an AI check that says, yeah, this meets with the boundaries that we put in there. So I definitely think that's going to happen. In terms of marketers' careers, I would go deep into one, like video production, or deep into certain areas with AI and stay on top of it every second of the day. That seems like every week there's a new tool released. And especially if you're younger, if you get on top of these things and master them, you'll be far more valuable to the organization than the person sitting next to you. But you got to stay on top of it. You have to experiment with it. It's a pain in the ass, but in the long run, it'll benefit your career because every one of these tools you touch, you're learning something from, and you're learning the art of the possible, as I like to say. So that would be my advice to the marketers and the front end marketers listening to this. To the VPs and CMOs, you've got to develop new systems. You touched on this a little bit, Steve, but you got to develop new systems that monitor and squeeze out a lot more productivity from your team and from AI. And it's not as easy as it sounds. It's developing a whole new way of working. Like for example, you could spin up a hundred new tools pretty fast, or not, or ads pretty fast, just by having AI create them. There's a tool called Zeely that's out there that creates ads, video ads of an avatar that's saying what you need to say. You could spin up like 5 of those in 5 minutes and 50 ads in two or three, and they're damn good. So, and because they're based on templates or something that you've uploaded. The expectation now, I think, should be a lot higher, and I think the way you manage these people is got to. It's a whole other topic that we could talk about, but it's got to become a lot more efficient to squeeze out as much as you can from not only your people but for the AI solutions that are out there.
You have to think about maybe there are some systems you've grown up with that should be inverted. I was talking with an agency head recently, and he was saying, just like you were, Mark, look, we can have 50 variants or at least a half dozen good variants of an ad, decent produced ads. And we can spin those up quickly rather than doing a whole lot of testing and with the market research. Why don't we just go live with them and do it on a connected TV so you can sort of measure engagement, try to understand all through the funnel, like what impact are you getting here, and then be able pretty quickly to say these are the executions that work and these don't. It's a very different way than used to be done, but now we can do that I mean, it's not easy, but it's a whole lot easier than it used to be.
Yeah, I think it's going to be so much easier in about a year. I mean, the research that in the amount of people need to touch the ad before was three or four people. You got your creatives, you've got your copy, you've got your overall marketing team looking at it. It might even have legal if you're a publicly traded company. Now you can do it all in a split second using AI just by putting the boundaries in it. So what does that look like in a new organization? To me, you need new processes and new strategies. But let's get to your book. Tell us about your book and why people should read it.
So the title was AI and the Octopus Organization, which might sound a little weird, but the octopus actually provides us an amazing analogy, an amazing framework for how to think about AI in an organization. So, for one, an octopus is hyper adaptable. It is actually, the species is 300 million years old. That's 70 million years older than the dinosaurs. It's been around a really long time. It doesn't have a whole lot of natural defenses. It has its adaptability. So that's one. Number two, amazingly, freakishly, an octopus has 9 brains. It has a central brain and then one brain in each of its arms, which enables the arms to act locally, sense and act without having a whole lot of coordination going on. So it can operate in a massively parallel sort of way, and it can act very quickly when opportunities arise, while still being coordinated by the central brain when you need to. And that's really a model for distributed intelligence. An octopus has 3 hearts. Which is a great analogy for having different hearts or different leadership styles for different purposes, which you're going to need in the dislocation that happens with AI. And an octopus is emotional, which we cannot lose sight of. You know, we talk about systematic change, we talk about technology, and all that's wonderful. But this is going to be wrenching change for a lot of people. And leaders have to really take account of not only what's going on in their organization, but if this is happening in parallel across the whole economy, how are people going to be feeling about this? So you put all that together, and the octopus is a great way to think about what does a truly AI infused organization look like, and what sort of capabilities do you need?
Wow. Okay, so that's very interesting. So what will people get out of this? They know how to structure their company based on this octopus analogy?
Look, at a high level, this is a short book intentionally. It's about 117 pages because our target reader, doesn't have a whole lot of time, and they want the gist quickly. So this is not an operating manual. I mean, we do get practical. We talk about case studies. We have some step-by-step guides, but there's a lot of translation you're going to need to do for your own context. What I think it does is give you a clear way to think about it. It's a really powerful analogy for people, we found. It's one that cascades down into more degrees of granularity as you push it. And there's a lot of case studies you can sort of cross apply. So it is, I think, for 117 pages, it's quite practical and deployable, while also having this groovy analogy of an octopus, which is really engaging. I have to say, Mark, I didn't know a whole lot about octopuses before I started the research for this book, and I will
I know
never
they're
eat
very
an
smart.
octopus again. They are smart enough that you would not want it on your dinner plate. That's right.
Yeah. So last question. When do you think we're going to get to AGI?
Uh, Probably pretty soon, in the coming 5 years. I actually don't think that's the big benchmark, though. We think about that in human terms, but humans have to be good at a lot of things. That we evolved that way. If we weren't, we couldn't elude the saber-toothed tigers, But computers don't need that. They need to be really good in very narrow realms. And in that respect, AI is often plenty good. Um, it exceeds human capabilities on many fronts, and does things which humans could never do, like a million executions of an email, for instance. But that isn't even the bar. It has to be better than what you would do otherwise. Right. So maybe your elegantly crafted email is going to be better than what the AI engine is going to produce, but there's no way you're going to do a million of them. So on that front, it is already better than what humans can do. So I think it's actually the wrong benchmark. We need to look in the narrow use cases that we have. Is AI better than the alternative? And frequently already the answer is yes.
But don't you see AGI as potentially taking over departments or even companies and running it? Because true AGI in my book means these are human level reasoning uh, machines that work 24/7, think a lot faster, and have a lot more knowledge to draw upon. So when that happens, do you see them taking over organizations, departments, or will it just be another tool that humans leverage?
It's more of a tool. There's a lot of stuff that is not some algorithmic function. How aggressive should a company be? Should it place all its bets on expansion in Mexico, or spread its bets? How do you negotiate agreement between two very different perspectives about a product's future? Right? The machine isn't going to know what the answer is, and there might be a human at the other end of that negotiation. So you need people to come together to come to an agreement. There's a lot that we still need humans for. And actually being really good, to your career advice point, being really good at the things that only humans can do is a certain way to guarantee your job security for the future.
I couldn't agree more on that last point. We're going to wrap things up, Steve. Thank you so much for being on the show. Could you tell people where to find you?
Sure. So the book again is AI and the Octopus Organization. You can find it on Amazon. The website's aiandtheoctopus.com. My company is New Markets with an S Advisors. And you can also link with me on LinkedIn, Stephen Wunker. I'm happy to connect, and I do answer my emails. So if you have a question, write me, I will answer.
Okay, thanks, Steve.